Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing okay today. Let us see who will join us today. We're having a staring contest until everyone arrives. Seeing as apparently clicking the bell for notifications doesn't seem to be working for most people. Nobody ever knows when I go live. Not sure why. And nobody knows. I don't know why. Wish I knew why. It perplexes me greatly. Just sitting here wondering, where are all my people at? Who am I going to share the progress with of this 340 millimeter EDF, which is remarkably terrifying to spin up. So, as my system lets me know that nobody's watching, I hope they all come in and have a seat. And if you happen to make it, welcome to the party. I promise one day I'll be filming with a better camera. One day, my friends. One day. Alright, so I'm waiting for everyone to get here. So you all need to hurry up and get here. Just waiting on you guys. Because you're the ones that I'm here to entertain. No one else. Hola. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Give me one moment. Damn it. Open up, you stupid frickin'. So, today we're going to talk about the 340 millimeter fan you probably saw in the shorts if you watched the shorts on my channel. One moment. I must herbally prepare. Dun-da-da. Hey, Denmark, welcome. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Are you shushing me? Why'd you come through that phone and say that? I love when you guys get here, especially the trolls. Alrighty. I'll cover that. Yeah. So, we'll be talking just about whatever you guys want to talk about today, but I also have some major projects that have been... The last short that I put up, last couple of shorts on the large fan that I'm creating, the turbine engine, is going well. Terrifying, but well, considering it's all 3D printed. But today we're here just to chat. Just if you want to chat about anything, we can chat about anything. Denmark. I believe my 31st grandmother was your queen. Well, that's Elven Queen. How ironic. You just jumped right in here as soon as I mentioned that. Yes, Aslaug Sigurd's daughter. Bride to Ragnar Lothbrok. 31st great-grandparents. So tell whoever's in Denmark to relinquish my throne, or I shall come and take it by force. Not with an English accent, because that would be inappropriate. But just a standard American accent. Deep Southern. Not really. I'm from California. Sort of the armpit of California. Wonderful weather we're having here. Can't make up its mind. It was extremely cold a couple days ago, and now it's 80 degrees, and all I want is snow and then cold weather. That's all. That's all I want. Yeah, you came in at the perfect timing, Melvin. That was like, as soon as I said that, you were like, right into the chat. This is a tobacco product. Don't get your hopes up. The other stuff is off camera, because I'm not going to promote it on YouTube, even though it's legal in my state. YouTube has a habit of being, well, assholes. And they like to put me on that red button and go, click, cut the stream. So you might, if I do lose the stream, it's either the Wi-Fi or that. So just be aware, okay? So how is Denmark right now? Is it cold? I want cold. I want cold. I'm going to Denmark if it's cold. So come on, everyone. How y'all doing? How's your day going? Anything you want to talk about in particular? Sorry, Harry. That's reserved for one woman only. But you are, however, entitled to my opinion. Yep. Can't beat him. I have a fan on me, so that's why I'm using the jet. I already know what you're going to say. Matches, not even propane. That's what you're going to say. Don't use any of that stuff. But I have to because of the stupid fan. And I have to have the fan because I'm in California. And spring, hasn't been able to make up its mind yet. So, it's like hot and then cold, and hot and then cold. Hi, how you doing? A legend has entered the chat. We are saved. Yeah, you got to do with a jet lighter, man. Bros got. What does that even mean? Who are you talking to? Who's got excuses? Bots. Yeah, it's probably bots. Although I do get a lot of haters just for the heck of it. I'm not sure why. No, you have to dig her up first. But go ahead and tell her. Yeah, I doubt with a name like that it's a bot. Oh God. Here we go. Bank. Jumping in with the stupid shit. That's true. And AI has become very intelligent, so he might have been programmed to respond that he's not a bot. I know. You know what? It's how it is. I just attract haters. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's my magnificence. It's just people hate me. I'm not sure why, and it's totally cool because I'll bring in I'll bring in a hater or someone that's a troll, and by the end of the stream we're usually friends. Oh, here we go again. So what are you trying to sleep? You trying to sleep and just watch me? Is that what you're doing? A little creepy. I don't know what time it is for you over there, but it might be a little early. Who's hating on names? Damn. Relax. Mailer. I don't think you meant it personally. Good evening, Sasha. How are you this evening? Okay, how in the world do I remind you of that? Horrible substance. I mean, I am addicted. You ask my wife that. She'll tell you. She can't get enough. Don't want to ruin whose day? Butterflies? Wait, no, wait. Butterfly doesn't want to ruin Mailer Sue day, I'm assuming. It's my white foot guy. No. Good lord. I look permanently high? Thank you. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Makes me wonder why my stress levels are so high sometimes. No, I don't have any vodka, sorry. Just bourbon. Again? When did you see me the first time? This is tobacco, by the way. Anybody would know not to smoke cannabis out of a tobacco pipe. It'd be stupid. Jesus, yes, can take away stress. He's very good at that. You see, I've learned to live life with an I don't care what the hell is going on attitude. See, with ADHD, it's really great. So, minor annoyances like the wind blowing the lighter out so I can't light my pipe, that would infuriate me to the point of blistering rage. But Yellowstone could go off, and I'd just be waiting for it to get a little ashy around here. Wouldn't give a damn. Don't care. World War III could start. I don't care. Want to try and come and kick in my door and steal my Bible? 308 waiting for you. No big deal. I'm totally fine with whatever. Major earthquake. Because over here, the 5-pointer will stir my coffee, but that's about it. Us here in California, we're used to that. I mean, people on the East Coast, they go like, 5-pointer, oh my gosh, is everyone okay? And we're like, okay, we barely freaking woke up. Now, it hits like at 8 or a 9, then I'm dirt surfing. That's when I'm out there on the board waiting for the, on the flats, waiting for the waves. Jesus loves you and gives you the will overcome. I think you missed maybe a few words in that, but I get what you're saying. You got it. Oh, the will to overcome. Okay, I'm sorry. These screens are getting smaller in the text and, bifocals. Old guy here. Some people may already have done this on the last stream if they were here last time, but I gotta ask, can you guess my age? Hey, how y'all doing? If I haven't said hi to you and I don't want to butcher your name, please don't take it personally. But hi to everyone that's coming in. I appreciate it. Oh, back cracking. Okay, so you got 46 and 52. Why does everyone always guess those numbers? That's not it, but I guess it's an educated guess based on my appearance. But no. Both of those answers not correct. Nope. Nope. Oh, here's the question. Okay, let me phrase it another way. Don't try to guess how old I am based on looks. Give me a number of... Okay, well, it would be basically based on looks. Based on how I look. How old do I look? Don't try to guess my age. Like, look at me, and because sometimes that can be psychologically misinformative. If I say guess my age, then you're going to look at the nuances of my face, so on and so forth, or listen to my voice, and that may throw you off. But if you go by just strictly appearance, how old do you think I am? Nobody's said it yet. Mailer soon. Close. Geraldo, close. $65. If you were here, I would kick you in the dick. Close. Mailer, close. 71. Joseph, you're getting a dick kick too. Come on, nobody's guessing it. It's like, there, yes, 49, you got it. Almost half a century old. And the winner is Mailer soon. 190, could be eventually. Of course, by then I will have had to find a cadaver and change my name and everything, so I've had to do it a few times. Yeah. Yep. Mailerson, you got it, 49. I'm lovely? Really? That's awesome. South Valley, Pato. Hi, Dad. Do I know your mother? I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you a funny story about that. And the reason why I asked that question is because I'm at my house, right? I've been married 16 years. Okay. Well, at that time, it was probably 13 or 14 years. Okay. We're in the same house as back then. And I get a knock at the door. Someone's like rapping on it really hard, right? I open up the door, and there's like this 13, 14-year-old girl, blue eyes, dark brown hair. And she goes, "I'm here for my allowance." Never seen her before in my life. Ever. The first words out of my mouth, instead of like saying, "You've got the wrong house, I'm sorry I don't know you," was, "Do I know your mother?" And I immediately got fairly dirty looks from my wife, because she's like, "Why is that the first thing that comes to mind?" Well, I don't know. It's just it was just an instinctual thing, and I don't know why I said it. This is the first thing out of my mind. Like, someone I don't even know comes up to my door and goes, "Bam, bam, bam, I'm here for my allowance." I'm like, "Do I know your mother?" Thinking maybe I have no idea. I thought that was, I don't know why that was the first thing that came to mind. Hi everybody. If I'm missing your chats, please don't be offended. I will say hi to everybody. I will try to get to all of them, but it just goes by pretty quick. No, I'm married to a very beautiful Norwegian woman. Got to stay with the Viking bloodline to get them all. Usually the Captain Black Gold. There was one premium one in a blue can. Can't remember what it was called. Unless it was just premium. I probably do have. I don't want to say that because I'm gonna get in trouble. But I've been happily married almost 16, maybe 16 years in this month, April 30th, and and I know, I've never done anything outside of wedlock, so this is the first time I was ever married. I didn't get married before when I was in the military, so that was my first thought. Was like, was it someone from the military? When a kid walks up to your door and they automatically, she looked me right in the face, like she knew who she was talking to. She knew if this is the wrong house. It's like I open up my door, I look at you, and the first thing you do is look at me and go, "I want my allowance." It's like you had a picture of me in your pocket or something. That's why I said, "Do I know your mother?" instead of, "You have the wrong house. Sorry, I don't know who you are." It's just funny. It was a funny situation. Anyway, she goes, "Oh crap, I've got the wrong house." She goes, "I'm sorry. I'll see you later." So I don't know who she was looking for, but it wasn't me. Thank God. I would have had some explaining to do. Hello, disappointed. How are you today? Well, I'm trying to get the fun chat. It's very good. Mowing my lawn. Yeah, I'd be like, well, maybe you are my kid. No negatives, Joseph. No negatives. It's been. You have to be best friends with who you're married to. It's not usually late. I mean, nowadays it's about convenience or their matching bank accounts or you've got to. I don't know. If someone's wearing a perfume now that had a pheromone in it that attracted somebody, and then now they're not wearing it. That kind of thing. There's no negatives because basically when you marry someone who she has become your best friend, and trust me, there was very much a lot of attraction and passion in the very beginning, but when you find out that you just love the same things, you do the same things, and a lot of people might say that's not good for marriages. Everybody doing stuff together, they need space. Well, I don't want space. Not from her. I don't want any space from her, ever. And that's the way I like it. The positives are you are married to your best friend. I can't count the amount of arguments, like any real arguments that we've had on one hand. I can count them on one hand. I didn't mean I can't count. Sorry, I'm doing calculus classes. I don't feel well. So yeah, that's the positives. Positives are you just the presence of them being in the house or in the next room just makes the house feel like a home. And you feel that when they leave. Now it's just four walls. And you're waiting for the rest of you to get home. That's the way it should be. But now it's more about let's mix bank accounts. Let's, do they make this much money? It's like whatever. They're looking at the looks to see if genetically they're going to match. Are they going to have good-looking kids? Or a wife or a husband nowadays for most people is a symbol of status. What car do they drive? They're not basing it on love or friendship anymore or companionship. It's all just, does this person fit into my portfolio? It's ridiculous. That's why y'all getting divorced after 6 months. No. Indeed, so I apologize. I don't know who that is. Well, Joseph, that's the way it should be. That's the way the marriage should be. And there's my wife now. I'll take out her biopic. Yeah. Took her off the market quick. Pablo! Yes, Stacy is my wife. Well, we'll get to that. Eventually we're going to be trading like clothes for spices and meat. It's going to be like Mad Max around here. Yes, it's called gravity. That's a water pump that generates itself. If you're talking about a water pump using an impeller to drive a motor, if you geared it up correctly, started off with a battery where it could dump the charge as it goes, yes, it could technically run off of its own energy. But the rate of discharge would have to be closely that to the rate of charge. Oh yeah. Let me tell you how the pool Viking genetics is. My youngest daughter, when she was born, was 12 pounds, 13 ounces. Okay? She's 13 and 5'7". Okay? I'm 6'4", 290. Alright, so that's, I'm just saying. Her sister is only 15, and she's almost 5'8", 5'9", somewhere around there. No, I'm not Indian. Although my ancestry does say that I do have Montauk in my ancestry. I'm not sure how much. I just know I'm related to a few Montauk chiefs. As well as, Robert the Bruce, Ragnar Lothbrok, the Plantagenets, the Yorks. Those are all my grandparents. Cicely Neville, King Richard, Plantagenet the Kingmaker, my grandfather. Found out a lot with the DNA, man. You know what I mean? It was $100. At the time, it was like $99. I don't know if it was because it was new or not. But see, I opted for them to keep the DNA on file for future testing. So they're able to narrow down even more as they collect DNA globally. So, basically, it comes down to I have Basque as well, Spain and Basque. Basque is really cool. I think that's where the blue eyes come from, but it also could have come from the Viking bloodline. It also could have come from the English side, from the Plantagenets. We've got the Talbots in there. Cicely Neville, basically, the Queen of France is my, I think it was Philippa. So, yeah, I'm like a mutt, but I'm sure there's a throne out there waiting for me. The power tools in the background? Oh, that's an NPC and C actually, and the little drill sitting next to it. That's a 3D printed 3-axis CNC that I'm using for various projects. And on that is a very large 90mm 3D printed EDF jet that I designed in Fusion, and that I plan on flying as soon as the ESC gets here, and a couple servo wires. I've also been working on a 340mm EDF 22-blade high-pass turbine, so I can make an EDF drone, a massive EDF drone. And you'll see its little brother in the Shrike concept drone playlist, if you're interested in that. There's a lot of fun content on my channel. At least I think so. But yeah, to get back to that previous question, yes, I answered the question about India. Someone's asking if Stacy has any sisters. I don't blame you. I want to say something that might get me in trouble, but if Stacy had sisters, I'd be Mormon. Okay? Bottom line. Joseph, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Not a lot of people online are nice. You're nice. If you're subbed, I'm gonna remember. Remember Joseph. especially when I have something that I'm not using I might want to give away, like a drone or something. I know that Jesus is Lord. I know that God raised him from the dead. Just don't bind them by time. People like to say that. They have that argument that Jesus wasn't God. Well, if you've read the Bible, and I don't want anyone to say, oh, I'm not going to read the Bible, it's fake. It's like, how there's no proof. Because the people who wrote it aren't alive. I'm like, well, Darwin's dead too. And he wrote a book. People believe in that. Yet he's not alive. So, we could do this all day. But the point is, Jesus is God. And Jesus is Jesus and God is God. It's the relevance of time in the equation that separates us from eternity, which allows us not to understand what it's like to exist in a place where there is no time, where you're not bound by time, where you're with a creator that's not bound by time and is one and three, the Holy Spirit, the Father, the Son. So, yeah, Jesus is Lord. He's also God. He's also the Holy Spirit. They're all in one. We've got Jesus Christ in our time as we perceive it, God the Father, and Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. Not entirely certain what that means, but I don't smoke cigarettes. No. Pipe though. Yeah, and sometimes it'll catch some heat, especially with this torch, or a torch. Well, yeah, you're right, Joseph. People they take so much out of context in the Bible that they don't read into the sentences. They don't read into the verses deep enough. They take either something out of context in its literal form to try to trap people into questions, to somehow try to prove or disprove Christianity, which isn't going to happen. Everything in the Bible that's written is not only true, but it shows everything that has happened, which we have proof of happening, and it shows what's going to happen. So if you had that kind of information where you could read the Bible and know, okay, we're about here in time, and this is what's after, why wouldn't you think about that? Why wouldn't you consider the words of the Bible? Because it's finished. Everything under the sun has been done. And that's the truth of it. So it's all about will. It's all about choice. You'll choose to accept or deny Christ, or you will deny him regardless of whether you have proof of his existence. There's two forms, two ways people will deny him. And it's sad, really. Hell is going to be full of beautiful voices. And I believe that. Well, I wish I could move to Finland. If you're talking politically, I don't know. I don't know if it's like the EU, where if you say something on Facebook that somebody doesn't like, you go to jail. That wouldn't happen around here in the U.S. Ever. And even if the government tried to start something like that, I guarantee you there's about 300 million patriots that are armed to the teeth that would make that person trying to arrest them for what offended them change their mind. It's called the Second Amendment, baby. And the First Amendment, freedom of speech. I can say what I want and how I want. Now, there's people out there that are critical and would consider some other things hate speech. So they've tried to go, communist style, call it hate speech, call the Bible hate speech. But they allow people who are Islamic to basically pray in the middle of the street. And you have a right to practice your own religion. No one's going to stop you. I'll pray to God. I'll pray to Jesus Christ sitting down right next to a Muslim. I'm not going to hate him for it, how he's praying. But his book says to kill me. So, after serving in the military, it didn't work out so well for them. But you're all entitled to my opinion. You're welcome. I'd do it again, but my wife won't let me. So I was always afraid something's going to happen to me. I'm like, do you realize I could go back to the military right now and just fight the rest of the terrorists? Like, I'll take out the Houthis in straight up freaking underwear, that's it. Underwear and a fork, I get them all. And that's just because God goes with me everywhere. Of course, he might actually wonder why I would be that ridiculous. But hey, it's the way he designed me. I'm sarcastic, sometimes a bit funny, and have ADHD like crazy. So I don't even know where I was going with this conversation, but we're going to get there. You see? That's the whole point. And if you followed that, you're just as confused as I am. It's a good thing. It causes you to think. Open up your mind a little bit. Not criticizing what you don't understand or don't believe, but studying and finding the common ground in each other that makes that belief strong, while also finding your own relationship with Christ. Yes, he can be with everyone at once, at the exact same time. Why? Because of space-time. He created it and is not bound by it. It's sort of like having a sphere. And that's the universe. And there's lines all the way through that sphere. And each one of those lines, those millions of lines, represent the lifespan of a human being. And in that three-dimensional space, from a fourth-dimensional perspective, which is the nearest I can explain it to you, Christ or God or the Holy Spirit, or all together or separately or whatever, because they're a Trinity. We'll get into that later. Can choose any point in that line of the time in that person's life, but can do that also to somebody else, occupying the same minute in time in more than one place. So you look at it like that. Time is a sphere. There's lines all through it, intertwining, mixing. They start and they end at different locations in that sphere. And those are the lifespans of all of you. So since God created all that, he can go in at 12 p.m. on a Friday and be with me, and go again at 12 p.m. on a Friday for you, and spend the same amount of time and have the same conversation, not as each other, but individually, so for you personally. Because to God, it's a singular experience, as we would perceive it, let's say. And then that's another singular experience happening simultaneously. That's how you view it. And that explains a lot of what people misinterpret in the Bible. So you have to pull time out of the equation. Time's a human construct. How we measure it. Time is a measured portion of eternity. That's all there is to it. Time is actually the fourth dimension, yes. The reason why is because 3 dimensions, length, width, depth, that creates volume. But what is something without duration? Does it exist if it doesn't exist at all? And this is by one of the books that James Glick wrote that I thought was interesting about time travel. And his question was, can a 3-dimensional cube that doesn't exist for any period of time have a real existence? And that kind of opened up my mind a little bit to think about it more. Yeah. We must be perceiving things from a 4th dimension because everything else is 3-dimensional, but doesn't exist unless it has a duration in time. In other words, if it was never created, it wouldn't be here. And what did it take to create it? No, it took time. It existed over time. So, yeah, it's really kind of just mind-blowing if you think about it. If you check out Time Travel by James Glick on Audible, I think you'll love it. I sleep to books in my ear because I have this severe tinnitus from the war. So I have to have sound in my ear. So I listen to quantum physics and quantum entanglement and the universe in a nutshell. Stephen Hawking. Yes, I know he wasn't a believer, but that doesn't mean science is the observation of creation. It's all a matter of how much more technology we have as we go along and how much better we can observe it. So that's the kind of science I'm talking about, not the kind where you decide to give hormones to your kid in school. Sorry. Let me catch up on chat really quick. Yes, Jesus is real. Sorry, I don't want to burst your bubble. I would debate the subject with you, but you're not going to listen to me. You already believe just that. Toxic. You already know we've had this conversation. So, if someone's not open to understanding, then they're not going to accept. And if they're already basically hell-bent, pardon the pun, on not accepting it, then you will see them and you will still deny them. I just know I have no idea what you're talking about. Elaborate. In order to be a good troll, you must elaborate. And you must have a level of sarcasm that matches my own, which is almost non-existent. So, pick your battles. Anybody with any intelligent questions? Toxic, you have intelligent questions, but you don't believe Jesus is real. But I welcome the debate, always. Because no matter what your beliefs, every one of you are human beings. And whether you believe in Jesus or not, you all deserve salvation. So it doesn't matter whether you believe. It doesn't matter whether you don't like it or think that the Bible is a fairy tale book. I know it isn't. And you will unfortunately find out one way or the other, especially if you are against it. And I don't want to see that for anybody. I would never want to wish that on anybody. That's like, that would be horrible to want somebody to do that. So while I believe in something that someone probably will never believe in, no matter how much I try to convince them, we can still have civil debates and maybe find some common ground to where you're objective on the matter. Objective without the hatred, because I've noticed that most of the people who disagree come forward with insults really only. Or they say, oh, it's a fairy tale. Here's your fairy tale this, your fairy tale man in the sky, or your fairy tale book. They always come back with that. And I'm not going to say something like that about your religion. I'll say that I'll personally say, do I believe in the Quran? No. And any Muslim who listens to me is going to know if I'm not standing up for what I believe in, even if it's against his religion, he wouldn't have any respect for me, even if we disagreed. How can he have respect for me if I'm going to say, yes, your religion's right? No, you have a right. You have a right in this country to worship the way you want to. But for me, if I don't stand firm in my belief, then I'm just a hypocrite like the Democrats. And that's the truth. And that's another subject of the Democrats. Mad at Elon Musk for finding all the money that was being spent corruptly, but not mad about the corruption. That makes no sense at all, does it? That's kind of like somebody pardoning an entire family, even though there's no crimes that have been committed that we're aware of. A little bit sketchy, right? Huh? Oh, my chat didn't refresh. My apologies. Does anybody saying anything? Have you considered using coaxial counter-rotating fan? Yes, I have. The counter-rotating, absolutely. Not with a 22 yet. I wanted to run it with one and see what happens, but I am going to try counter-rotating, absolutely. Toxic, I knew you would say it was a fairy tale. I probably said that and wasn't even reading the chat. Martello. NKJV. The original King James version is the one that I have one printed in 1611, and that's one of the ones that I refer back to. But my wife's the biblical scholar; she's the one with the bachelor's, so I kind of defer to her wisdom on some of those things, because we like to sit and find things together, and that's the interesting part, is because I don't have the brain she does. Mine's more of a gearhead, electronics garage engineer, whatever you want to call it. I'm an actual engineer, but industrial engineer. So I'm going towards aerospace. But my point is, my wife has studied biblical theology and apologetics for years. She's always been devout. And we discover things, and she's able to uncover a lot of things, especially with the amount of literature that she has on the subject. Outside of the Bible, we're talking commentaries, we're talking whatever you want, whatever information you want. I mean, anytime I read something that I don't quite understand, I go to her and I say, well, let's break this down. But let's break it down in the original language it was written in. and find the meanings behind each word, because that's how you start to understand. The King James Version is a good, yes, it's a very accurate version. And the way you look at it is you kind of have to go, okay, well, if I have this word, this King James word, or the King James Bible, don't you think that God would have known what man was going to do when they got their hands on the testimony? And don't you think he would have known what information to give you so that you would see the truth and then start seeing it unfold in front of you in life? I mean, it's amazing. There's things happening now that are foretold in the Bible. The red heifers that are set aside for the sacrifice before the new temple's built. That was all foretold. Ironic, isn't it? Mohammed, I don't think he's going to answer you, because there's a lot of people that will jump in to say stuff like that, but they don't have any proof. It's either going to be insult or it's going to be out of an anger. What's the word you fellas use, you youngsters use? Triggered, I believe it is. And then something will come out that he saw on a reel, didn't actually read, that kind of thing. And then you'll get this off-the-wall answer or comment. But when you ask for a deeper explanation, you won't get one. And that's how you know who you're dealing with. That's why I ask some people to elaborate when they come in and say something. And then I won't hear from them again. They had their 5 seconds of fame. Congratulations. You'll answer them. Why don't you answer them now? You should already know. Unless you're like Googling it. Don't Wikipedia it either, because I'm older than the internet. And I can tell you, any monkey can get on there and put something on Wikipedia, and somebody will read it in the future and go, it must be true. Marcello, or who are you referring to? Someone in the chat or me? And on what? Because there's probably a delay, so I don't know what you might be asking about. Hell yeah! Trivia, same here, man. Take a, get on the modem, and and then somebody's, you're like checking your mail. Like finally got on. It took forever. You had to go to the horrendous freaking modem sound, and then it goes, "You've got mail." It's some dumbass in the other room picked up the phone. And all of a sudden, you're kicked off the internet. Oh. Trivia. We drank from the hose, man. We didn't have this bottled water shit. It was something about that copper at the end, the water coming out. Delish. 800 baud. Well, you weren't playing Call of Duty. Now, the way we used to do it, and I guarantee you probably did the same thing if you were into gaming. Back then, we had the first Xbox. And the only thing we had was we didn't have internet, but we did have LAN boxes. So we LAN networked a whole bunch of Xboxes together in the same house. And had a whole bunch, everybody came over with a TV and an Xbox and a patch cable. And we did our own, like, Call of Duty, the first one. And we were like all playing a networked game. There were like 16 of us. And we were having a blast. And we were cursing each other out. Some people were in other rooms, so we couldn't see where the other person was by looking at their screen. Oh, it was so much fun. We'd be like yelling at each other. You son of a bitch! I said no more headshots! Now, we created online Call of Duty long before Activision got involved. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but what would be funny, because the moms would walk in, or the parents would walk into their house, and there'd be TVs and Xboxes everywhere, and a whole bunch of yellow patch cables going to one spot in like the middle of the house. And they were like, what the hell's going on here? I'm like, you wouldn't understand. Eventually, this got to the point where they just brought us pizza and breadsticks from Pizza Hut. That's when things got fun. You ever try to eat a breadstick with marinara while you're trying to line up somebody's head in the scope? It was fun, man. Back in the day, that's when things were cool. Now everything's all... You know, it's like nobody can figure shit out. I'm a lamp, I'm a desk, I'm a bird, I'm a cat, I'm a dog. No, you're not. You're confused. Whatever happened to the freedom we had? We would go outside and wouldn't come back till the lights came on. I don't know how many times we almost died on our bikes. You know? But I don't know how many times we ended up in the canal. And that's where we swam. I mean, that's the way you did it. Everyone's like in their fancy pools, rich people. We're just like the rich people. We'll just go swimming until they start pulling water in these pipes. And if you happen to make it out of there in time, you're good. If not, I'll find you eventually. Well, let me catch up on the chat. Looks like you guys are having an interesting conversation I'd kind of like to get into on my live. Although I'm glad I could give you all a forum. Oh my gosh, 120 a month for 120 megabyte. Woo! That was like when the first cell phone came out? I remember that. Going to the mall, getting your first job, signing suckers up on the Sears credit card, giving them a free gift. Yes, I have an RC jet in the background. I created it on Fusion 360 and printed out on a Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon. It's a 90mm EDF. Well, the police have to deal. I just know. Do I think social programs afforded to the military should be extended to police? They're here to serve and protect, just as we were. We swore an oath. They swear an oath. So yeah, I mean, why shouldn't they be afforded the same? Well, I have not yet because I'm waiting for the 120 amp ESC. But if you sub, you're going to, because if you looked at any of the shorts that I'm doing lately, you'll see that I'm also building a drone with four 340 millimeter 22 blade, fully 3D printed, high pass EDFs that I designed in Fusion, and that I'm running with four 7070 flip sky motors with 60 horsepower apiece. And you know what's interesting about that? I could probably ride the damn thing, but my wife probably won't let me. Oh, APM, I'm telling you right now, you're gonna be seeing some stuff. When you get out here and get a chance, go check out the latest short. That'll give you some idea of what I'm getting into. And check out the Strike concept drone, because that's where it all started. You think that the police and the military protect? Hold on. I just want to address that question. They do both protect the 1%, agreed. Well, I swore to protect the United States, which means everyone. Mohammed, so you believe in the Quran, obviously, not the Bible. You believe Jesus did exist, but you believe he was just a prophet. No parallels there, though, right? Not going to criticize you as a person. You can believe in what you believe in. But I will firmly tell you that I believe in the Bible, I believe in Christianity, I believe in Christ. And I know that's all how it's all going to go down. And I know that you wouldn't respect me if I didn't hold firm in that belief, regardless of whether it disagrees with yours or not. Need a drone that can AI pilot using LiDAR. Well, I mean, if you build a drone with a LiDAR scanner and you use iNav, it's pretty easy to program in routes and then just have the LiDAR send back telemetry via one of the UARTs on the Speed EDF 405 wing. You can use one of the UARTs to send back telemetry, and if you've got it set up properly on the ground station side, then you should be able to pick up LiDAR and not even have to worry about piloting the craft. Just set the route using navigation through iNav. And I respect you too, Mohammed. You are a human being. I respect your right to practice your religion. But I can only believe in what I believe in, and that's my truth. That is the truth to me. And I will always say it's the truth to the world. And I doubt you would expect me to do any different. Oh, toxic? Who are you speaking to? Who's the old man? And seeing as you keep saying that, I'm kind of wondering. Well, wait, what year were you born? Just after the age of common sense. Toxic. I like how you don't like anything anybody's saying in here, but you're always here. And that's because, I always say, even if you are totally against me or anybody in the chat, as long as you're not being like a total, asshole to them, I ain't got no problem. Debate is what we're here for. Chat's what we're here for. If anybody wants to talk about the projects when they see them, check them out. If you like the channel, subscribe. If you don't, then don't. But sometimes I just get on and do the chats while I'm either in the middle of a large print or I'm waiting for a part. I like to just talk to the community. I like to talk to people. Give you guys a forum, something to debate in. But let's respect each other, because we're not going to get anywhere just insulting each other. We get enough of that when the trolls jump in for no reason and say some weird shit, I'm telling you. Like they've been in the closet for days just writing this shit down. I am an engineer. I'm retired Army as well. Yes, they are. Marcello, I agree with you on that, but there's some nuance to it, because now it's people are choosing to be whatever, trans, gay, lesbian, whatever, the alphabet community. They're choosing that because there's people out there that will pay attention to them if they do. And they never find out who they really are, because they're constantly hiding behind who they think people will like, because they're alone, because they're usually online looking at videos on their existential crisis rectangle. And that's it. No parents involved anymore. It's like they let the internet raise their kids, and then they wonder why, they get the way they are. And social media is just sick, man. They're just trying to get this shock and awe factor out there. All they want is to get that ad revenue, right? Thank you, Sir Fan Mohammed. Mohand. Boy, I don't know how to say that. See, I butcher names, man. Because I have ADHD, someone's going to give me the way that they say their name, and it's going to, like, printing it out and falling into a shredder like you see on that reel. It's nothing personal. It's just, while I'm talking to all of you, I'm designing crap in my head that now I'm going to have to go into Fusion and actually CAD out before I 3D print it and build it and put myself into more debt for parts. Howdy, Rob. Rob with a wrench. I need Rob with a welder. Because I'm a TIG welder. Somebody knows how to weld. Ironically, we haven't got to that part. I did underwater welding, cutting, commercial diving, that kind of thing. I trained at the College of Oceaneering in Wilmington, California. That was fun. Well, being on an oil rig, for a long period of time. Um, it was okay, you know, when I was single, but married with children, I just want to be home. I'm at that point right now. It's like everyone's like, you should go out and do stuff. I'm like, why? Everything I want's here. Why would I want to go outside for? But I do go outside. I go, you know, I go and fly and stuff like that. Man, I need a new glider though. I want that 3,000 millimeter Fox, FMS Fox. I want that glider. It's a badass glider, I'm telling you. Yeah, Al Bundy lifestyle. That's what I'm talking about. You know, sit back on the couch. But in my case, I'm like finished designing something and I'm printing it and I've got nothing to do. So I'll come on here and assemble some stuff. You know, like the fan over here. I'll show that to you here in a minute if you haven't seen it on the shorts already. But you've all seen, like, I'll give you an example. So at first, and this is a 64 millimeter, but at first, I built a drone using these. Okay, amp draw was real high, so you had to be careful. Couldn't use it. You had to have a power distribution board you could handle it. Then I started building these. Right here, 170 millimeter high pass turbofan for another drone project or for a jet or a plane. This is my Madonna version. And then I decided to go all in. And I'm going to show you. Hold on, I got to unplug the phone. It's going to tell me it's not finished.
I wasn't finished.
Yep. That's what my phone tells me now when I unplug it. This is a 340 millimeter 22 blade high pass. I built an RPM gauge with an Arduino, which I do have to fix because the hub's still slightly reflective, even though I got tape on there. I had to print it to where I could basically spin each one of the, or tap in each one of the blades. There's no glue holding these blades together, none. And it's being spun by a 7070 Flip Sky direct drive. Now, that being said, you saw the other fans. This is the 170 millimeter version, rear drive at a 4-to-1 gear ratio for a 30,000 RPM limit, so that I can put this in whenever I want to. Maybe a flying Deadpool mask. I still have to print the replacement parts on my drone because I crashed it. But it was fun. It was so much fun to fly this thing. And my entire neighborhood would just stop and stare. I can't figure out why. But it was fun. I made it out of spare parts in my garage. It worked perfect. I figured, what the heck. So I'm going to print the bottom part of that again. I'm going to put it back together. None of the wires broke. Totally runs fine. I did it all while drinking bitter coffee from bitter people. If you go to my bio, you can find a link for that called Breakfast and Bread. And if you use DPC10, you use the link, you get 10% off your coffee and your merch. I'm telling you right there. But these fans, front drive, is for the Cuddy Black that I'm building. The big Cuddy Black from Star Citizen, which I'm turning into a drone with articulating nacelles, which is why I'm designing a turbofan or a turbojet with the stators printed in it, running off of a 650 CFM. Sorry, not CFM. 660 kV motor, 22.2 volt. Those will go into the nacelles of the actual Cutlass Black, and then I will build that up. These are for weight mitigation for the system. Top drive, 170 millimeter high pass fans that run off of 70 motors, just like that, but through a 4-to-1 gear ratio box. So 30,000 RPMs. Don't necessarily need to spin it up that far, But I could probably fit one of those in the bottom for thrust mitigation, but I would get a lot of yaw, so I wanted to get 2 in there. One spinning one direction, one spinning the other. Have the full landing gear off the cuddy, right? The doors that open up, the whole 9 yards. So that's a much bigger project that I'm working on. But this has been a lot of fun for me. This has been a whole lot of fun for me. And that's the original Shrike drone concept right there. And there's my 90mm I got to finish building up. And the MP CNC, which is it's a 3-axis CNC, but it was 3D printed. Except for the metal, obviously, and the wood. But this will be the original Shrike drone here. This is going to be a little less complicated than it looks now because I'm going to be using a regular flight controller. And since I have a TX16S, I can put the last engine on a different knob, which would be cool because you can control it like a quadcopter and still have a pusher. So it'll be fun. This will be fun too. I've spun these. I've blown one of these up, like going way too fast. Come here, Deadpool. Have a seat over here. This is my first initial one where I had a low pass turbine. And I was holding this freaking thing when it exploded. And it just, you can still see the low pressure turbine blades in there. The low pressure turbine out of the system, basically I removed the compressor out of the system. And the reason why is because I wasn't going to use the compressor to compress fuel and air. So the low pressure turbine really just acted as a way to mitigate some torque on the engine as it was spinning the fan from the front. And then I had a thrust aperture for that. So just playing around, having fun, experimenting with stuff. You gotta make stuff, right? You gotta test stuff. Still gotta finish you up. But yeah, it's been fun. All these projects are fun, but this one right here, this is a beast. And it puts out some air. I have some shorts already out that you can watch where I'm testing the RPM meter, seeing how many amps I'm pushing at a very low RPM. I haven't even brought this thing up close to even a quarter RPM yet, because it pushes some air, like some serious air. So, and I have some stuff I got to work out. There's a shim in there that's rubbing a little bit, but yeah, watching that thing spin is fun. I'll tell you that. Yeah, that came out pretty good, having the black with the white blades. But we have ductwork for this that I am putting together. It's just section by section. It's taking time to get it all together. Hold on a second. I know you can't see it. Okay. Need a better camera. So yeah. It'll have, full ductwork, and definitely has a good pitch and angle to the ductwork. So that'll increase airflow inward to the fan. And I am going to make it a bit smaller, though, as far as the ductwork goes. Mainly because I want to use like a lightweight PLA. Make it a shorter ductwork, and then use some carbon fiber for some landing legs. But this is basically one of 4 that's going to go on a drone. And a lot of people look at it and go, that looks like a damn rim from a car. But yeah, I mean, it's a big fan. My biggest fan. Pardon the pun. Let me plug up the phone again. Ugh. TPU shoes. FDE mask. All off the X1 carbon. I love that friggin' printer. There we go. Now the charger's hooked up again. So yeah. When I spin that fan up, I was thinking about doing it live, but who knows how many lives I'm going to get, right? How many people I'm going to get on the live. So I may make it a premiere. I've never done a premiere yet. That's like the only thing I haven't done is a premiere. So I'm not even really sure how they work. Really just record it and be there with people and play it live for the first time, I guess. That way I can answer questions, be in on chat, stuff like that. Yeah, I appreciate that, Joseph. Thank you. Let me try to read some of the chat here. I don't want to miss anyone's questions. Oh, glory. How's it going, man? 6'8". You probably hit your head on all kinds of crap. GW, who are you talking to, man? I'm just, I'm kicking it here. Kicking it here and building a really big fan. I cannot wait to bring that thing up to basically operating RPMs, because I've barely had, for my test runs on the shorts that I did, the throttle was barely up. I mean, just barely. And I'm pushing 48 volts through a 60 horsepower motor that's set for 75. So I'm not even at the potential of this engine, or this motor that's driving it. I'm just basically getting the mechanics down, making sure there's no vibrations. If I find the vibrations, make corrections to the engine. That's why everything's bolted together instead of glued together. So I can kind of pull the system apart and make adjustments when necessary to make sure. The last thing you want to do is spin up a knocking fan to, 6,000 RPMs or more, And I wanted a lower RPM with more torque, and that's why I'm staying with like a high pass kind of design where I have a 22 blade configuration. $5.10. That's not too short. At least you get more oxygen down there. Oh man, that sucks, oh Lord. Catching a ceiling fan like that? Woo! GW, you're asking like pointless questions, man. I mean, I know you want attention for it, but And yes, we all read your question. Five feet, yeah. Hey now, Bill, come on. Let's not threaten anyone here. Let's be civil like. It's all about debate. It's all about talking. Besides, why let toxic get under your skin? Who cares? He likes calling me old man a lot, though. Well, I ask that everybody be civil to each other. We can debate each other without getting ugly about it, All in Old Glory. Put it back in the box, man. Yeah, I know you're having fun. But put it back in the box. Yeah, it is the internet. You're gonna encounter this stuff everywhere. I just want you guys to have a good time, you know, talk to each other. You know, have fun. Oh, you're kind of fun, Old Glory. You have to relax, man. Dad's 6'10". How tall was your mom? Wow. Wow. That's gotta be awkward. Whose birthday? It was 1982. Oh, okay. Yeah, I lived through the 80s. That was a fun time. That's when shit wasn't so messed up. Hey now, be respectful. Martello's got to go right to the graphics of the situation, you know? The sheer mechanics behind it. He's already working it out, you know? Oh, back's cracking. You don't want a man. How come? Is she a feminist or something? This feels like she don't need a man. Or what's the deal? If you don't mind me asking, Elon Tusk. Why doesn't she want a man in her life? I basically am building a drone with a 340mm 22 blade high pass EDF. 4 of them, running on 4 60 horsepower motors. To answer your question. And we'll get to more of that. I'll actually have videos of flying once I get it built. I have videos of the Shrike drone, which is a Shrike concept drone playlist I have. And it's basically the concept that I started with to get to this point. I got to the point where I was so sick of buying expensive motors that I decided to just build my own high-speed, large motor. Instead of paying $5,000 for one, I can get a motor off of Amazon for $100, ASC for $100, and then print a 340mm EDF. Drones are fun. Now, I'm not against prop drones. I'm just against prop drones for the future prospect of flying vehicles. That's why I'm against prop drones. EDF's where it's at. You know, you get a sleek body on a plane or on a car that has wheels, so you can still freaking drive the thing, and you can engage your EDFs if you want to fly. Big project. Lots of thought going into it. Realistically, get a prototype done. Make it quad size. I gotta get a CNC, probably a pocket CNC or something to get some, you know, precision out of the whole deal. So that when I make my bearings, when I make my turbines, I can take them from an FDM printed concept to a hard alloy concept. And then I'm going to build a quad. I'm going to build a quad like you would ride, like a mud quad, but it's going to be EDFs. It'll have the LiDAR like somebody mentioned before on a drone. It'll have the ground-facing sensors. It'll have infrared. It'll have straight-up cameras to basically keep you at street level, just like you would be on tires, safely, and you'll be able to fly up higher in open areas where it's allowed to fly. You can fly up to 400 feet. Things like that. Stay under commercial aircraft, that kind of stuff. But ultimately, the idea is that the concept is picked up, put into the infrastructure of cars, so that your off-ramp is basically, you get off the off-ramp, you want to go to grandma's house, especially it's over the mountain. You don't want to have to drive over it or get stuck in traffic. You just get a GPS skyway where you get logged into, and you're basically it's an automated flight that you do have control over to a degree, but it's automated, gets you over the mountain and back to the on-ramp where you want to be. So it runs off of hydrogen. So that's the whole idea. I am testing with lithium polymer packs right now, but eventually the quad will run off of a hydrogen fuel cell and use hydrogen. And everyone's like, well, hydrogen is dangerous. I'm like, not if you store it in a hydride, like carbon nanotubes, in a sense, that can hold the hydrogen safely. And then you heat up the hydride, and then it can release the hydrogen. Even if you breach the tank with a gun, the hydrogen wouldn't explode because it's stored in the hydride, which makes it more stable. I started my career in industrial engineering, but quickly moved to mechanical and aerospace. And I'll base my master's off of aerospace. Basically, it's a hobby, yeah, at a professional level. But the idea is, with the 3D printing, is to see how far I can go with 3D printing to make a system that can lift up my weight, in a sense. And if I get anywhere close to that, then a CNC version, a properly CNC version, will be capable of much more, especially since the power system will be able to handle more amps and will be running off of hydrogen, so on and so forth. It's a work in progress. So the concept was, first understand EDFs for the flight controller. That's what I did with the Shrike concept drone. Tried to move to a Javelin for a VTOL system, but I don't have a lot of cash because I'm on debt benefits. So basically, I had to butcher the Shrike drone in order to build the Javelin. Javelin needed 90 millimeters, not 70. It was a little too heavy. So, but it did take off. It lifted off with its own weight. I just didn't have enough headroom on the throttle to really do some major acceleration. Probably would have once it transitioned into regular flight, but as a tail sitter originally, it had the power to get up. It just you get hot real quick. So it's just about getting the components that I need to make a bigger system. And these skateboard motors these off-road skateboard motors are perfect for the process because they're pushing 60 horsepower and you can run them anywhere from 22 volts all the way up to 75. So you can choose what RPM and tip speed that you need depending on the diameter of your fan to get the lift you're looking for. And once you find the perfect pairing, then you're good to go. And then you decide, okay, well now I can have this stuff CNC'd, make it more efficient, more rigid, and a lot more safe. And you can build this thing off of that 340 millimeter drone's all built off of Amazon. So 150 amp ESC at 48 volts, 270C LiPos at 2200 millis each for 4400 milliamps at 48 volts. At low throttle that you saw, I was pushing like 8 amps. That's insane. And I was still moving tons of air at the balance speed when I was checking balance. So that's a good thing. That's a really good thing, because once you go to half throttle where you would consider a good hover, that's going to be pushing a ton of air. The first 3D CAD program that I used was, good lord, years ago I used 3D Studio Max, but it was more for cinematics, and that was when you had to start. You had to exit Windows and start it from DOS. So like we were excited to get a Pentium, the first Pentium chip, to do our work on. So then I moved to Fusion through Autodesk and stuff like that. And how much would I get paid to design and make missiles and pumps with an aerospace degree? You'd get paid a lot if you went to work for DARPA or some other place. I couldn't tell you what they're paying their people. Fix your original Xbox. It really depends on what's wrong with it. I think typically the problem with those things is the hard drives would go bad, and then finding firmware to update the system, or getting it to work with a NVMe rather than a standard HDD would be easier. AutoCAD 94. That's some old school stuff, I'll tell you that. AT&T phone for old people? Yeah. Yeah, we remember them now. Now they're just a freaking fashion statement that people are finding on Amazon for $300. And you could have got them from Dollar General? Not Dollar General. It would have been Kmart back then. For like $19. I still want to find a VCR. I need to find a VCR because when I was doing the attic to get these lights in, I found this is an old house, built in the early 70s. And I found a VHS tape, which is scary enough because I watched The Ring. So I don't know if I want to play this thing or not, because I may end up having to send a copy to somebody within 7 days. But I want to find out what's on that tape. Velvet graphite. 94. That was a good decade. Oh yeah. Blueprints are great. I'll honestly never used Vellum, but I'll check it out, see if they got a new version of it. Need to help my friend design his shop. He got the land for it and everything. He's got a design for it, but he's got some issues with it, and that might help him out before he gets his shop built. The ship I plan on. Okay, I said it. The ship I'm going to be building is going to be built there, and you'll see it in the future. I'm just going to leave it at that, since I already spilled the beans on that one. Do I fish? When I had a chance, I used to. I loved to go fishing. Loved it. So relaxing. You don't even have to catch anything. It's just fun. I had a boat, used to go bass fishing. It was just great. It wasn't a fancy boat or anything like that. It was just one that a friend gave me for like $700. It was a nice one. I fixed the motor and registered it up, and went and fished. on the lake. It was great. No, I did not. Sir, why would you even ask me? Talking to me or somebody else? Yeah, Patriot missile system was a good one, I'll tell you that. Love the Patriot missile. Love the Patriot. I even had a model of the Patriots. I would put together models of the Patriot missiles. After I got out, I was like, I wanted to do high-powered rocketry for fun, you know. But I make my own fuel doing sugar rockets and stuff like that. But yeah, I love. Now that you mention it, now that I have the X1 Carbon, now I want to build a big Patriot missile. Let's build one of my big sugar rocket motors. On my homepage, there's the sort of an intro video, like everybody's, and on that you'll see a clip of that sugar rocket take off in the midst of all the other stuff I did a long time ago and now. And I never measured the speed of that thing. It was insanely fast. But I found the perfect design using 2-inch ABS pipe for a sugar rocket. And I found out the proper bore hole through the entire center of the engine's grain, and I lit that puppy up and just ran and hoped was at my grandma's house, made my launch pad out of, conduit wood and like a duct redirector to get the fire out of the side, instead of straight down. It was really cool. And all I did was put the engine on a wooden dowel and some balsa wood fins to make a big bottle rocket, So, but it took off fast, like super fast. Glorified groundskeeper. Oh yeah, it's a beautiful missile system. It really is. Hold on. I don't even know what that means, man. Sorry to hear that. Oh, Lori. That looks like he passed with a smile on his face. Okay, well then I'm sorry if that was inappropriate. But in the context in which you give his heart attack, it sounded like he was having a good time. It did make a good story. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Hearts to old glory. Give him that for that wonderful story about his grandfather. Oh, yeah. You got 2 bald eagles circling overhead. That's awesome. Eddie, I have no idea what that means, but sorry to hear it, I guess. What are you talking about, like hopping on graves and stuff? Why are you cursed? I'm hopping on a grave. Not a sponsor to you. How you doing? I am an engineer. I work on EDF drones, designing stuff with fusion, aircraft, things like that. Other projects, Arduino, lighting systems, that kind of thing. Just anything that's fun, to do. I figure I'm old enough, so I can do whatever the hell I want now. What Catholic denomination? Oh, this is. Are you talking about this? This is they call it a Jesus robe. It's actually a memento mori. It's not Catholic. I am a Christian. And there goes everyone in the chat. Click around, we're all leaving now. I'm looking down because I'm trying to read the chat and keep up, so I apologize that I'm not looking at the screen. Freaking old Lori. 8? Rookie. Yeah, are they old graves, or are you just... Ah. Yeah. I see what you mean now. So they had a family plot. It's a good way to get a tax write-off on your property. Big tax write-off. Especially if you have a lot of land. Which is something I don't have yet. I'm hoping for it. Eventually. Yeah, see, that's what I want. Old War. I want enough property. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I like to plant my own food. I like to raise animals so that I can consume them. I also like, having area to build a shop. I would love to build a big shop. I'd love to be able to put in my own little runway and have my own little launch pad and pretty much anything else I might need. And a hangar for the ship. I blurted out earlier. That was more of a surprise for later on. They want a backhoe? Well, I need one for the property across the street. I need to have it graded. An old winery built in 1917, I think, just after Prohibition. And I live in an area in California where it was, we had the gold rush, but the people who didn't have luck with the gold rush came down into the valley below, that area up in Jamestown, Sonora, place like that. And anybody who didn't have luck up in the mines, they'd come down here and then they would plant grapes or almonds or anything like that. They'd become farmers, and that's how the town came up. I'm like in the suburb of suburbs, which is great because I don't have to hear a bunch of city noise. Just an occasional car. But unfortunately, it's still a rental. I'm still working on buying the land that I want so that I can build what I want to build, because I want to be in a place where I get some snow, Down at the bottom of the valley, you ain't get much, if any at all. Yeah, long tusk. Yeah. Yeah, you start having weird dreams, you're gonna know why. Yeah, have you checked out the stones? Like, what's the oldest grave site there? I mean, if it's family owned, I mean, that's a lot of your history right there. You should know. Dude, make some room for me, man. Get my family out there and build a landing strip on your property. Just cut me out a chunk where I can get some snow, you know? Something next to a river. I can fish. Dean, how's it going? You made it to the live, brother. How you feeling today? I'm reading the chat if I'm staring at the screen, so. Nobody hates Old Glory. You did what you had to do. You gotta clean the place up, right? Glad you made it in here, Dean. Hope you're doing alright. Gotta get Robert in here too. Where's he at? The deputy takes 2 hours. That's why you need one of my turbofan quads. Get where you need to go fast. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you've been watching, man. It's been great. The chat gets fired up about stuff. I love it. It's just about talking about whatever you want to talk about. Just chill, relax, have a good time. I'm still waiting for parts and doing testing. If you saw earlier, if you rewind it all, if you looked at any of the shorts that I put out, you'll see what I'm working on now. And that it's a terrifying 340 millimeter fan that scares me. But eventually we're going to do a full throttle run up and see what happens to the thing. If it blows up, it blows up. But I really need to get a CNC machine and get this stuff done out of metal. It's getting to a scale where the 3D printer is like, help me! You know? No, I checked out the toroidal propellers and they're really not that quiet. I mean, it's like, and they're not as efficient. They say they're efficient, but they're not. They're not as efficient as a propeller at the right pitch. Why'd you say it wouldn't? Asking for a friend who's going to jail. Oh my god. Of all the questions I've been asked, that tops them. I need a mini mill. I can't afford 35 grand. What are you talking about? They can loan it to me. That'd be cool. I do need to mill this out though. I'm up to 340 millimeters. So I can't go any bigger with this thing. I mean, I might be able to, but it's with FDM printing with just PETG material. It's just you're gonna get to the stress points where only metal is gonna work. And I've designed the hub to be machined, so I have the tolerance set to about 0 or 0.05 on the tolerances. But realistically, we might have to work the tolerances on the hub and the blades to make sure that if they're CNC, depending on, that's the problem, is finding out what machine's being used and working within its tolerances, because it has to be a tight fit. Absolutely. Otherwise, those blades are going everywhere. The fact that I managed to make it work with a PETG filament and spin it up and it hasn't blown up yet, that's a good sign. GW, I have no idea what you're talking about, but have fun. Yeah, you're not gonna get a plane for cheap. But if you're riding a quad built by DPC, you're sure to get where you're going fast. And if it malfunctions, that includes the ground. But either way, it's gonna be fun. I suggest you wear a parachute. Ian, I'm not exactly sure why we put all that up there, but let's see. Let me tell you what's going on here. Why are you putting up an address? Never scared. Okay, well that's great, but why would you put up your address, Brian? Yeah, I mean, I don't care either, but it's like, I get what you're saying. I'm not afraid either. If somebody breaks into my house, they're basically going to be, done. Especially if they're intent on hurting anybody in my family. They will be like, why didn't you call the police? And I would just answer simply, well, no one knows you're here. Why would I do such a thing? Spoil all my fun. So who's scared? Who's scared, Ian? Who is scared? Nobody's scared. Nobody cares where you live. What are we gonna do? Buy a plane ticket? Fly out there? Stop by? For what? They can come out with their chest all puffed out. I ain't scared. Okay, fine. You're not scared. We get it. Congratulations. No, I'm not scared. On the slightest. It's enough war not to be scared of anything. KFC. Oh man. hoping for like an In-N-Out or something, you know? Not a KFC. Ian, that's very clever, man. I like it. I like it. Oh, that's too funny. Good job, man. Good job. You get everybody going for a little bit. They're like, why is he like scared? Like telling everybody, you must be scared. At KFC, I kind of am. Hey, you have a good night, Ian. Thanks for stopping by. That was awesome. Loved it. The Dill drone was complete. I actually flew it. If you look at my last video, full-length video, I flew it, and I had programmed a battery warning in, but I guess the cells in one of the batteries was bad. And when I noticed it start to malfunction, I was like trying to get it back over to me as quick as possible. I should have just landed in the grass across the street and went and changed the battery, but I tried to make it back to the curb, and I ended up busting up the front, so I just have to reprint that, and it'll be back up and running. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun flying it around. Watching people drive by and stare at it in the air had to have been the most entertaining part. Like, you got people driving up and down the street, and there's this huge red, white, and blue looking dildo drone sitting, just flying in the air. It was beautiful. Oh, Lori. That's not what we're talking about. Yes, a real UFO. A real UFO. That's what it should be perceived as. Actually, the real UFO, I guarantee when I fly this drone, there's going to be UFO sightings. You're going to see it on other people's reels and stuff like that. That's my hope. Because I have a huge, like a plethora of these NeoPixel systems that I put together that are going to go on the actual drone. Oh. And they're going to be all over the drone. And considering the drone is probably going to be a good, I don't know, 4 feet by 4 feet at least. If you can imagine in the middle of the night, I may have to turn off the light. Hold on. So you can kind of see the effect a little bit better. You can kind of see it, but let me try and. Oh, that'll help. Hold on. Let's go into darkness. There you go. There's enough lighting in the shop now. You can still see me, so. Yeah, so all of these will be all over the drone. And they're all addressable NeoPixels, and each one has an Arduino. Of course, each one of these systems will be much bigger. It'll have much larger circular sections with different lengths of the PETG tubing that I print out. And then it diffuses the light from the NeoPixels perfectly. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have those all over the drone, and then I'm going to have a huge spotlight at the bottom. So when I fly over somebody, I'll turn it on. It'll be up high enough where they can't hear anything, and that's the point behind the blades, because they're moving so much air that they don't need RPMs high enough to make a massive amount of noise. That's why I'm using a high-pass design. So this will be all over the place, and then the spotlight. So if somebody sees it, I'll fly overhead, turn the spotlight on, and get the spotlight directly on them, and see if they feel as if they're about to be abducted, or if they pull out a gat and shoot it down. That's what I'd do. But yeah, that would be awesome. Trev, thanks for stopping by. If you're not already gone. Thanks a lot for stopping, Trev. Here comes Bank again with the comments. No, nobody raided your drawer, Bang. Sorry. So basically the drone's going to be covered in these, and that should be sufficient to, along with other lighting that I plan on, to basically make it really interesting. So, that will definitely make it interesting. Yay, my wife's still on. Darling, could you do me a favor and grab my Rockstar out of the fridge door and bring it to me, please? Oh, yeah. Good old glory. Hey, Colt, do you want to go outside?
Did you see that?
Ah, thank you, my dear.
Did you see that old Glory wants to know what to call you?
What now?
Old Glory wants to know what to call
What to call
you.
me?
The chat.
Oh. Well, you can call me whatever you want to call me. You can call me Dale. Like this. If you look at my site, it's, you see my name's up there. If you go to my homepage. But basically, I've always went by Dale. My friends call me Dale. Professionally, everyone calls me Roger. But my friends call me Dale. So, buddy! Robert, how's it going? That's the man I used to fly with a lot. Over at the sports park. Come here, buddy. What do you want? What do you want? What are you doing? You want to get in on this? Yeah? Alright. Do you want to go outside? Do you want to go outside? Go over to the door if you want to go outside. Alright, hold on. I gotta let him out. Let's go. Come on, let's go outside. Do you want to go out? You don't want to go outside. Okay. You just want to hang out? What are you staring at me for, dude? Freaking wolf dog. He's a big boy. Come here. Get up here and show everybody. Come on, stand up. Come here. I'm not playing with you, dude. Come here. Come here. No, we're not wrestling. Oh, get up here. Say hi. Say hi to everybody. This is Colt. One of the rescues. Supposed to be just husky. Not quite just husky. He's as big as a train. Alright, big back. Go that way. Now you want to go back in the house? Come on. Go hang out in here. Yep, he's a good one. Come on in, buddy. Yeah, he wants in. Vivian's the other one that I have, the other rescue. And she's husky, but she's also coyote. A lot of coyote. So she barks at people. She's very protective of the house, which you don't normally see in huskies, because if anyone who has ever had a husky knows, if somebody breaks into your house, they're going to be like, play? They're not going to protect anyone. They're just going to be like, play. That's all they're going to do. But not Vivian. She is very, very convincing that if she doesn't want you here, you're going to know. And she will try to eat you. She is a wonderful guard dog. And being a coyote, she's extremely fast. But she's mixed with just enough husky to be not only personable, tameable, she's chill, she's chosen us as the pack, and anybody comes near the door, she loses it. I mean, she's just like, I'm gonna get them. They're just. And so Colt tries to mimic her bark because she barks like a normal coyote, and he just sounds like a guy, like a big guy screaming, like somebody has just assaulted him. You know, I swear that's the most I can. Like he sounds like Chris Farley freaking out. Okay, that's what Colt sounds like. You guys are having some weird convo. Glad I could accommodate y'all. And I hope that you subscribe so that you get to see all this wonderful drone action that's going on, and the planes and the jets and everything else that I'm going to be building. It's going to be fun. I'll tell you what though, I miss the big gliders. Robert knows what I'm talking about, so does Dean. That Super Sky Surfer. That was the best fun, man. I love that plane. I want to get the FMS Fox. That 3,000 millimeter FMS Fox. Friggin' 9-foot wingspan. That's him. I want that plane. I just can't afford it. Not yet. Not unless all of you went to the Buy Me a Coffee link and bought me a coffee. Then I could buy it and fly it for everybody. And all it would cost you is a coffee. No, but you can check out the rest of my links out there. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on the Buy Me a Coffee, Patreon, pretty much everything I could put on there. And also a friend of mine who likes to send me coffee, CJ, he's a good guy. He runs the Breakfast in Bread, which is one of the links you'll see in there. And that's where you get the bitter coffee for bitter people. You get the good coffee, you get the merch. It's bitter coffee for bitter people. It's awesome coffee. And he's sending me some other stuff to check out too. He's got all kinds of merch. Okay. Where's the link for which link? The Buy Me a Coffee link or the Breakfast in Bread? Hi Jim, how you doing? If I miss you guys, I apologize. It just the text goes by so fast. Coffee. It's called Breakfast in Bread. The link is on my channel page. And you can get coffee and cups and whatever else he's got on the site. If you use DPC10, if you use that link, you get a discount. You're getting a discount for whatever you get using my link. And if they don't apply the link or if something happens, just write them and tell them, hey, I saw him on, Drone Power Concepts. Said you guys had a discount. He'll work it out for you. But yeah, get the coffee. I just told you how to get there. Why are you shaking your head, man? Hold on, man. You asking me any questions directly? I'm trying to make sure that I don't miss them, but the chat goes by pretty quick. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you gotta love the trolls, man. That's what makes it fun. Damn troll. Who cares? GW. He's sitting here talking about butt plugs and then he wants to give an OF link. I don't think so. Sorry, man. You're on your own. What? That's your problem right there, old Glory. You're supposed to be drinking Rockstar, not Sprite. Especially if you want to keep your eyes open. Oh my gosh. GW, why, dude? Why? This is the internet. That's kind of a broad question nowadays. Can you be normal? Well, isn't normal whatever everyone's decided to pretend to be? 'Cause that's all I see out there. And, yeah, I get hit with it all the time. Just, you know, people get pissed off because you misgendered or whatever. It's like, well, you're not wearing a fucking name tag, you know? And it's, especially those girls with the septums and they always had, like, you know, like tattoos and different, like, just contacts and all kinds of piercings and stuff like that. And, you know, how dare you misgender? It's like that one reel that you see where that chick gets really angry. You know, the short-haired chick, you know, you run across her reel and she's like angry. It's like, if you misgendered, don't correct yourself. Like that. It's like, if I misgendered you, I wouldn't give a shit. Okay? You're not wearing a name tag and I don't read minds. So if you don't like it, put on a fucking name tag. That's simple. Okay? Because if you get in my face and start shit, then, you know, hey, you know, you're going to get what's coming. That's all there is to it. Get in my face and start getting belligerent, because that's what they do. You know, it's like I don't do anything to them, but then they'll get like really irate just because I'm, you know, 6'4", a white man, Republican, Christian, that kind of thing. That's just enough to trigger any of them. You know, and let them come at me. I don't care. You know, it doesn't matter where either. You get close enough, I'll consider it assault. And then I'll handle it accordingly. Whatever the fuck you identify as. You want to be a houseplant, I'll pull you up by the roots. So I don't care. It's just that simple. I love everybody, I do. I try to be non-confrontational, but it's like they look for people like me. I don't want to be confrontational. You flip that switch on, it doesn't get shut off until the energy is dissipated. Okay, let's just put it that way. What the hell does that even mean? Ahmed? Yeah, we're all looking for the translation. Go ahead. That's Ukrainian right there. How much are you gonna bet? Jamie again. That's pretty good. I like that one. Berkey. He said. One second. I'm gonna come over here where you guys can't see me. I didn't smoke anything. I am innocent. And everyone is entitled to my opinion. I'm telling you, this is the fun part of doing lives, even if they're off topic from what I do as a hobby. It gives everyone a chance to troll, get it out of their system so they can go back to their normal lives and look in the mirror and go, I probably shouldn't have done that. You're telling? Who are you gonna tell? It's legal here. Who said glory to Trump? You don't give glory to Trump. You don't give glory to man. You give glory to Christ. But Trump's doing a good job. He's doing exactly what we're supposed to do. And when, like I've said it before, when you turn a country into a corporation, as every company has, then you need a businessman to run it. And if somebody would have actually bought the dip when I told them to before we did the pause, there's only one person that did. A friend of mine that's a firefighter. Well, works for the city, used to be a firefighter. Invested in the dip, and I guarantee you he made money. Because the stock market shot way up real quick on that pause. I would have made money, but I didn't have any to invest in the first place. So all I had was advice. Yes, I'm an engineer and I'm taking over the world. The best you're going to get, Bot 12, is one of my lieutenants. Oh, glory. That was a good one. What we got? Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything at all? I am constantly building drones and designing other things that I'm basically only limited by the speed of my printer. It is an X1 Carbon, which is rather fast. However, focusing on one project at a time, it's hard for me to do because it's all in my head and I have to get it designed. And so I have multiple projects. So it goes from a tail sitter javelin. You'll see the playlist on that. That was only on pause just because I need to make motors. And then the Shrike drone I would like to build again to have one that I don't have to butcher in order to do other projects. But it's just because I was short on money, so I butchered it for the javelin. And now I'm 3D printing larger engines because I got tired of looking for engines I could afford. Because you can get some JP hobby engines that are beautiful, have some decent thrust and everything, 120 mil. But they're $800 a pair. And I'm like, are you serious? So, I mean, it was $100 for the EST, $89 for the motor, a couple rolls of filament, some bearings, some bolts, and now I have a 340 millimeter EDF. Plus I have a ton of the 170s that I can use for drones too. So, yep. The Madonna boob era drone. So yeah, it's fun to build drones and aircraft. But I'm looking for a vertical takeoff and landing vehicle that I can ride. And that's why these drone engines keep getting bigger and bigger. I used to build cars when I was younger, Mustangs, you know, building out. I had a Ranchero and had a 460 stroked over to a 514, 280 lift cam, 244 duration, Elbrock carb, Elbrock intake, that kind of thing. But you know, it's just I'm to the age where I don't want to build a car anymore. But I have somebody do it for me. Just drop it off at the shop. I want these pipes. I want this. I want that. I want this. I want that. And just have them do it so I can drive it. I don't want to build any more cars. But the aircraft. That's what I'm into. Yeah, I saw that guy, but it was more of a surfboard kind of thing, and I can only imagine how short the runtime is. The reason why I'm building fans that generate as much airflow as they do is because you want to be able to run them off of engines that don't take a high amount of amps. So if your amp draw is low, you're going to have a longer runtime. So that's why I used a 110 kV motor, because at just basically idle throttle, I was pulling 0.2 amps. But I was pushing enough air to move the apron behind me that's on the mycelium table. And he's using, I don't think he's using EDF, I think he's using this open prop type. That's why I'm running with EDF system. Because open props aren't the way to go, man. It's like everyone says, like, we built the first flying car. No, you built a helicopter with 4 propellers, or 8 propellers, depending on who built it. And if you need a landing pad, if you need like a helicopter landing pad to land your flying car, then it's not a flying car, is it? Nope, we're going for the flying car. And that includes the flying quad first, which is just basically like riding a dirt quad, but we have 4 gyro controlled, you know, large EDF engines that are actually lifting you. And dang, what is wrong with you, dude? Anyway, so the point is, just stop talking about this stuff. It's ridiculous. It's like nobody in here. You know, we've basically deported everyone who brings it in. You know, that's what we're trying to do anyway. You make a PC with a RTX 5090. You're talking. I'm assuming you're talking about the GPU. You couldn't? Are you asking if I could build a PC with it installed? I mean, who couldn't? It's, you know, it's gonna get the motherboard that supports it. Well, you just need to have the, you know, the motherboard that supports the 5090, so something from MSI would work good. You have to make sure you have the power supply. It looks like the 5090 is what? You need at least 1,000 watts power supply in order to run it. Probably something water cooled. Definitely have water cooling going on that for sure. I'm running off of a 3080 Ti, man. I mean, it's just, I wish I could upgrade to just even a 40, you know, a 40 series, because my power supply can handle it. And I need the computing power for a lot of my CAD designs. But I do have a Ryzen 7 5800X, which isn't much, but I would love to get a Threadripper set up and just deck it out. But that's just, I gotta make some money, you know. So everybody go buy me a coffee at the link on my page. Shameless plug, but I had to try. Join the Patreon. Oh man. Long Tusk, you gotta go? Oh, you have a good one, man. Thank you for stopping by. We appreciate you. Hearts free, Long Tusk. So, why are you upset, GW? You still got people to troll in here. None? Is that a question? Or are you making a statement? Freaking thing. William, I couldn't answer that. I mean, James Earl Jones basically was the best Vader ever out there. Batman? It's not Ben Affleck, let's put it that way. I've never met anybody in my life that you could tell was trying to act so damn hard. Val Kilmer. Rest in R.I.P. Val Kilmer. Good thing. I'm gonna reload this thing. No, Bank. I'm not. It's called tobacco, but you already know that. He was a good Batman, though. A man who does not miss his movie. I mean, his movies are just beyond. You got to think about it. I mean, we're talking from Top Gun to just all the movies he did. I can't name all. There's one. Oh gosh, Heist, I think it was. Had Robert De Niro in it. Oh, that was interesting. Was that me, or did it go dark real quick? No, it wasn't me. We had a power surge here. Maybe it was my kids playing with the light switch. Who knows? Heat. That's the one right there. Martello, you got it. You nailed it, man. Heat. That was a good movie that he was in. That was a serious acting role right there. Colt, what are you doing, dude? Don't lay on the garbage bag and chew on your bone. Really? Alright, I'm gonna let you out. Hold on, I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna let the freaking husky out the back door. Come on, let's go. Go on. Whew. Oh, yes. Real Genius. I think I remember that one, but it's been a while ago since I've watched this. So I had trouble remembering a lot of this stuff I watched when I was younger. That's for sure. I want to check it out now. I want to see it. DW. Do you just need to be mentioned? Is that what it is? Because normal for you seems to be relative to your perception. not ours. And of course, Bank, he's in here trolling too. You gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. It wasn't that the dill drone wasn't pulling too much power. It was the fact that I had some old 4S packs, 1500 mAh packs, or 120C discharge rate. And because I had used them a lot in extensive testing, I think I put the one in that had a bad cell in it, even though it charged, and it kind of killed it too quick. And I knew something was wrong. You could tell. I don't know if you watched the video already, but I knew something was up from the way it was acting. So I was like, well, I better bring it down and bring it back. And I had a feeling right after I touched down the first time, I should have went with my gut and changed out the battery right there. But it was just, I don't know. I could feel it in the way it was flying that it was losing juice too fast. So I had one bad battery for sure. But the low voltage warning never kicked off, and I don't know why. It would have told me. So it tells me it was getting some bad telemetry from the battery. So yeah, that particular drone, it wasn't, none of the hardware was damaged, so I just need to print one side of the lower portion of it, since everything's bolted together. And then what I'll do is I'll use a better pack. I would like to put bigger motors in it, just because I'm running a SpeedyV 405 V3 in it, so it can handle the amps. And those are little 4100 kilovolt motors. They're tiny. But that was more of a build that I wanted to do out of the stuff I had laying around in the shop that I wasn't using. And that included those motors and 405 V3 I wasn't using. Because primarily I was using the SpeedyV F405 Wing APP to actually do a lot of my drone building. Mainly because when I decide that, because you can use it as a drone just as efficiently as the standard drone version, the V3, or the V4 for that matter, but you had that opportunity and all those channels for the servos, tons of UARTs for different telemetry, cameras, whatever you want to hook up, and it worked well with iNav, especially with learning how EDFs work with that flight controller, which had a lot to do with gyro filtering and the unicorn factor that's in iNav, and just all of the setting the gains right and getting everything proper so that you can fly it effectively. And there was a lot of stuff I went through with the Shrike concept drone where I studied all that. And I had my mishaps with that, and I eventually found a very stable platform, a very stable program through iNav, and a stable set of gains and gyro filtering to make it to where those EDFs worked really well. The biggest problem with it was power distribution, because they took a lot of amps. So I had to use an APD, which was Advanced Power Drives. And you can't buy those anymore commercially or from the store. You have to, unless somebody can find them. It's 500X, but they stopped selling them to hobbyists and enthusiasts. And they went with a commercial application. But I still have a 500X that could handle 500 amps of power draw. So I was able to control the motors and not overheat the system. And the entire system was run off of a 6,000 milliamp 22 volt pack. So you're talking about four 70 millimeter EDFs is what the Shrike V10 was running on, and it had a standard Radio Master ELRS receiver. I'm running a TX16S transmitter that's all a 2.4 gigahertz ELRS, and using iNav you could also program routes into it, so on and so forth. But realistically, the idea behind the concept of the drone was so that you can put airfoils on it, and once you go 90, now you're dealing with generating lift with the engines rather than, or lift with the wings rather than the engines, and now you're accelerating. And using differential thrust, you wouldn't need any control surfaces on the wings themselves. So making something retractable that pulled in was one of the things I wanted to try as well. So you're running, and I want to build a 90 millimeter version of the Shrike, or even a 120 mil version of prefabricated EDFs, for the simple reason that they draw less amps and they still move more air. And then that one will have a retractable airfoil. So, and it'll use differential thrust for the pitch, roll, and yaw. You want to go back in, buddy? Come on, let's go. Go in the house. And I gotta shut the door back here. So that being said, I want to do basically I basically want to do another Shrike, but I want to do it in 90 or 120. Whatever I can get my hands on. They don't have to be expensive EDFs. These can be cheaper ones off of Amazon. Because I'm building my own large-scale EDFs and turbojets. Bandcamp. I think we went off and he don't understand what we're talking about or something. He ain't liking it. But he's still here, so we like something. Okay, I thought I talked about that one, Dill Drum. Hopefully you all heard it. Martello, do you need me to go over one? You want to see the Dill Drum? Okay. It's broken at this point, but I'll get it. Hold on. All right. I'm sure GW is gonna like this one. So this is it from the back. Basically, when I came in, two hanging low. All right. So when I came in after I was trying to land it, because of the low voltage, I ended up hitting the asphalt on the street and it broke off the bottom part. Everything worked still, but and the battery compartment's here. And then you have your ELRS system here. So you can put bigger batteries in there if you want. But these were really small motors I just had laying around in the shop, so I figured, why not? And this is the funniest damn thing to fly. I'm telling you, it is freaking hilarious to see people staring at me at a public park when I'm trying to fly this. It is hilarious. So basically I'm reprinting these bottom parts here, because this unbolts completely. And then you can take the whole top half off and I can just replace this bottom part. And that's why I wanted to go with bigger engines, bigger motors. I know the F405 can handle it. Bigger props to get a little bit more speed out of this demon, because I want to see it. The funniest thing in the world to me is this thing zipping past the screen at 90 degrees at a super high rate of speed. That's where we're going with this one, okay? So basically, yeah, that's what happened. It was fun though. It was fun. Yeah, it's basically in 3 pieces. I will make it an FPV drone. I'm going to include an area at just the tip, I promise. And I'm going to put a camera there to where you can kind of see out the front when I'm at a 90. And then and I'm going to put bigger motors on it, and then I'm going to make it a slightly bigger prop as well, and I'll be able to push a heavier pack, which is nice because I have 1500 milliamp 4S with 120 discharge. Should be plenty. So bigger motor, lower KV, obviously less power draw, so it will get more flight time. But when I push it, it's going to go pretty fast. Biggest problem for me is balancing it in acro mode because it's a little top heavy the way it's designed. But everything sounds wrong now that I'm saying it. The top of the dill drone is a little top heavy. So putting the bigger motors in is going to give me more control over it. So basically, giving it bigger nuts will give me more control. I can't do it. I can't talk about this thing with a straight face. I just can't. Oh, man. Yeah, troll bait for sure. Oh, man. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Now, once I put the larger motors in there, and I found a set that's pretty good, and I redesigned the bottom half and I reprinted it. I plan on taking it out and flying it. It's gonna scream because I'm putting bigger props on it. These little tiny ones aren't doing it. So yes, it was a good project. I found the motors. They've been in the garage forever, just kind of sitting there. So I decided, yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's put something together with what we have laying around we're not using. So that's what I went with. Now it's kind of spawned into something else. So now I'm going to put bigger motors in it, bigger props. Stay with the 120C 1500 milliamps because I think that's sufficient. And the Speedy F405V3. And since everything's already pre-programmed, it's just going to be a matter of wiring up the motors to the ESC in the new lower part of the body. And that's it, because it's already programmed. I don't even think I'll have to set the ESC's motor rate. I might have to recalibrate the ESC, but other than that, it's just going to be about soldering the new ones in. It's all ready to go otherwise. Oh, Amahan, you haven't seen the 340 millimeter, have you, that I'm building? Instantly, huh? How many G's do you think the human body can withstand? Yes, I'm from the USA. I don't know if you're talking to me or somebody else. But okay. Allow me to show you very quickly. Hold on, I have to unplug my phone. It's gonna say its thing again.
I wasn't finished.
That's what we're talking about. This is one of 4 of the engines going on my next drone. 340 millimeter 12 blade high pass configuration, run with a 60 horsepower flip sky motor, a 150 amp ESC at 48 volts. This engine's capable of 75. I'll upgrade the ESC when I want to get to that point. Right now we're testing at 48. And it screams. I have not throttled it up all the way because I'm testing my RPM meter right now that I put together with Arduino, so I can track the RPMs along with the amps that I'm pulling so that I can make sure that it's efficient. But this moves a ton of air, and it's like the smaller ones, same design. Hi, Deadpool. Same design, but 340 millimeters as opposed to 170. And I was able to print this hub separately. Shut up, Chihuahua. Grow some thumbs. Then you can open the door. Good Lord. All right. So I printed this to where I literally, you can see where I put each blade in and tapped it into place, into the hub. Each blade was printed separately. Then the main shaft that goes through the body is attached to that with 8 millimeter bolts. Okay, 6 of them, 8 of them. And then I have roller bearings on the front here to alleviate any torque on the motor's bearings themselves from pulling. So what will happen is when it rides forward, those roller bearings actually engage the back of the hub and stop it from putting unnecessary torque on the internal motor bearings here. So that makes sure that the fan stays where it's supposed to be without actually pulling out of the bearing slots. And I'm running I have 4 bearings in here. They are 40 millimeter interior bore, 52 millimeters in diameter, and they're stacked, 4 of them. And then you have regular skateboard bearings for the rollers that engage the back of the hub. And everything locks in at the key right there, which I have to put Loctite on because it keeps coming loose on me. But other than that, it's mesmerizing to watch. It's awesome to watch it spin. If you look at the shorts that I've already put up on this, on some of the testing I've done, then you'll know. You'll see it. It's a trip to watch. It actually looks like, it's weird. It looks like the motor is the whole thing. It looks like it's twisting because of the black and white blades. It looks like the whole thing's twisting. It's a trip. And it's not even moving. The outer casing is not moving at all. But if you watch it, it tricks your eyes and it looks like everything's moving. It gives this optical illusion that things are twisting. Yeah, 75 volts. I mean, for now. You have to understand, a lot of these prototypes are to collect data, and they are for larger versions that'll eventually be driven by hydrogen cell packs or hydrogen fuel cells and use hydrogen for the fuel. Because I want them to be completely electric. I mean, this is a 4,200 watt engine, so I mean it's going to have some power, but the design is set up to where I can try to mitigate the forces that the bearings endure on the engine. But you also have to understand it's a 22 blade high pass configuration. So there's also a lot of stress. I got to watch the amps. So you take a 75 watt motor and you run it at 48 volts. It's only a 100 amp motor. So I can get bigger motors as I increase the size of the system, and then decide to make them out of CNC, aircraft grade aluminum, and then go from there. Increase the power, increase the wattage that I'll be using, bigger motors, running it on hydrogen, using a fuel cell, and that's the ultimate goal. So, but a 3D printed version that's about, I'd say, third scale what the end product is going to be in a drone format is going to give me a lot of data that I need. And I'm able to 3D print it out of plastics, so it helps me in designing the minute details that I might have overlooked if I was just seeing it over metal, out of aluminum. It gives me ideas on how to design all of the stuff to be CNC properly, to where I limit bearing heat, I limit bearings altogether by making the hub liner and the fan shaft itself the liner on that out of tool steel. That is basically one sealed bearing as it goes together. So the fan becomes part of the hub, and then you don't ever have to worry about changing that bearing out. It's basically a big tool steel bearing. And then finding a motor that's appropriate for the size. So this one happens to be the 7070. I'll get bigger motors eventually for the larger sizes. And you know, there's a couple of cars that run off of hydrogen fuel cells that I can get my hands on, and will supply sufficient power with the right amount of hydrogen to give me the amps. It's really about the max current draw that the cell can handle and the voltage that it can put out. So I have to find the right one I'm looking for, and then we'll go from LiPo testing to the hydrogen fuel cells. But at this point, I'm at the LiPo stage for a reason. Yes, it is quite stable. If you watch the shorts, you'll see I'm working on a few kinks, but I haven't brought it up in RPMs hardly at all. I've basically just a little over idle so far, and it's already producing a ton of airflow. So when I hear a noise in it, I have to go, okay, probably a bearing, probably a piece of plastic. It's all printed, it's all new. So I haven't really run it, so except for what you see in the shorts, and it's still pushing some air. When I do spin this up, it's going to be from inside the house, and I'll be watching everything over my camera that I have in here, because I have a firewall to keep me safe from the fan if it decides to rapidly disassemble. But as soon as I make sure everything's good for testing and I have a proper platform to lock it down to the table instead of just the straps, because right now we're in the sort of balancing phase. If you look at the shorts, you'll see that the fan is really balanced well. There's no wobble in the blade, nothing like that. I'm hearing some bearing stuff, but that's easy enough to fix because the motor mounts pop out with 6 bolts and then 2 key bolts for the collet that connect to the shaft. And then the shaft itself, you just pop the roller bearings out, unscrew those, and then the whole shaft comes out of the front with the fan attached. And I can check the bearing port and everything, make sure that's okay. And if I see anything, then I'll address it, and then we're going to go for a full spin up. But I have to print something up so I can screw it down to the table, because I'm not doing the first spin up with ductwork. Because the ducting I have, but it's in sections. So it has to be done in sections so that it fits on the printer. So yeah. There's 5 sections for the ductwork, and then I'm going to have to get all of them mated up together. And then I'm going to have to get them sort of siliconed into place temporarily, because this is just a test fan at this point. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it'll withstand the heat. It doesn't produce that much heat, and it's right in the path of the wind inside it, behind the stators, because behind this is going to be flow rectification stators that attach to the exterior ductwork, and it puts the engine directly in the flow of the air, so it's going to help with cooling everything. And I may even find a place to put the ESC's cooling grid within the airflow inside the ductwork on the finished side of things once I get to that point. But right now we're just testing bearing tolerances. We're making sure everything wears in properly. If there's any issues that arise, I'm not going to be pushing it past a certain throttle until I get any issues that I find resolved. So it's about running it for a while at low RPMs and then let everything kind of sort of settle in, and then pull it apart, make sure everything's meshing well, and then address any issues I have to address, and then go from there. Reprint any parts that may need any modification. So yeah, we're in the testing phase on this. It's a little bit different than the 170s, because the 170s had a captured bearing that I put in the stator casing. So they were captured bearings. So I didn't have to worry too much about them. It was about spinning, again, the shaft, the interior shaft from the rear. On this one, I used a 4-to-1 gear ratio, so I can use the same motor with the torque that's being provided by these fans, which feel remarkably small now. But even these put out a lot of thrust. So, and that's with a 4-to-1 gear ratio. So we'll be running the one on the bench with the same exact motor that's pushing this one at a 4-to-1 gear ratio. So we're looking at close to 2,800, close to 3,000 or 30,000 RPMs, I mean, on that one, because it's smaller. Right now with 48 volts, I'll probably be pushing, actually at 75 volts, I'll probably still only be pushing, no, 48 is 5,280 RPMs, I believe. It's kV times voltage. So, that's at, and so when I push it up to the 70, which is usually a 14 cell pack, I think it's only 52. I don't know. They're all basically. I might have to build my own pack until I go to hydrogen fuel cells. So you take 3.7 volt packs. So just 4.2 for max is what they are. 3.7 for low, and then stack them myself and make a 14S, or find something I can run in series to get 14S. If I want to push the voltage to its maximum. So yeah, that's one of the things that we're going to explore. But the reason why we're doing it at this voltage is to control heat, control amps, and see what we get out of 48 volts as far as thrust goes. How much thrust am I producing with this blade configuration at 48 volts, and do I need to go above? Because I'll always have that overhead. I'll have that from 48 to 75 volts. I can always change the voltage and go from there to find out what works the best for not only the thrust but the heat mitigation, the cooling, the efficiency, all that other stuff. So yeah, there's a lot to it, a lot of data collection involved when it comes to this, but that's the part of the fun in it for me. And once I get a successful fan that runs, it's always rewarding, and when I build a drone out of one, it's even more rewarding. I love the flying around the Shrike D10. I know everyone thought it was like slow and it wasn't that big, but it was the idea behind it. Hence the name concept drone. So I've had many people ask me, what's the practical purpose of it? And I said, well, it's a concept drone, so it doesn't have to have a practical purpose. I guess its practical purpose would have been data collection. So yeah, that's what it's about. Even this 340 is going to be data collection. Its final version's probably going to have a few changes, but I am pushing that X1 carbon to its limits. I'll tell you that. Bamboo Lab should send me their new one, their H2D, and we'll see if I can push it to its limits, because I'm pushing their X1 carbon to its limits. I mean, well over 3,000 hours of print time. And I've only had, to be honest with you, I've only had to change the hot end like twice, maybe 3 times. In 3,000 hours. The only other voluntary changes were when I changed from a 4mm to a 0.4 to a 0.6 to a 0.8 to try the different, sizes on the. Because I had them all. I had the 2, I had the 4, the 6, the 8. And 6 works great if you're doing aircraft skins. Like if you're doing a single line print wall 3D printed plane, use Bamboo Lab PETG CF, and with a 0.6, especially if it's a big plane, you'll get no layer lines. It's beautiful. Prints out perfectly. Their PLA arrow is good, but not for single wall prints, I've noticed, and neither is their ASA. Don't waste your time on ASA. But try the TPU for the AMS. That stuff is phenomenal. I built a propeller out of that I couldn't break. I broke the whole plane before I broke the propeller. And I had to forcibly break the propeller to test it to its limits. Throttle up to full and hold it against an iron table before it finally broke. But it was rigid enough to give me propeller thrust. It was amazing. And yeah, so TPU for the AMS. That's something to check out. Some really good stuff. Hey CJ, how's it going? Oh, the website's down for maintenance? I think somebody was getting ready to go over there. I think it was None. He was actually going to go over there and get some coffee. I think. He's checking out your site. None. CJ is the guy who makes the bitter coffee for bitter people. So he's the one to hit up if you need to know when the site's back up. Yeah, he was wanting to go over there. I sent him over there. But I think he said something about the link not working or something. It's 7 o'clock? Am I reading that right? Oh, wow. The Breakfast in Bread site to get the coffee. The link is in my bio. CJ is the one who runs it. But once he gets the site back up, it was either you or somebody else who was asking about the coffee. No, that's tobacco. The sacred herbs over here, off camera. Because I don't want to unintentionally promote any particular brands when it comes to stuff like that, because I like to play it safe, you know. YouTube probably doesn't like me already. Yeah, get your coffee from there. Once that site's back up, go get your coffee. And you get a discount if you use my link. CJ, let me know if I gotta put up another link, and if I do, send me the URL to my email. But just make sure I get that link update if you end up needing to change it, so I can update it on the site or on my channel page. Coffee is therapy. Yes, it is. Coffee is nectar. It's life's sweet nectar. When you get up on a Monday morning, you absolutely have to go into work. Coffee is the way to go. And since you're going to hate going to work on a Monday after a great weekend, bitter coffee is the coffee for you. So once he gets the site back up, make sure you go get some. Yeah, it's a bit of a more sophisticated drone, but at this scale, it's more for the data collection for a much larger project. Not just the quad that plan on building, but the bigger one that I wasn't going to share with anyone at the moment, but I said it earlier. So you'll be seeing that eventually. So yeah, that's the plan. Let me turn this a little bit. The quad version is going to be just like riding a quad, so you'll be able to go higher. Ground sensing radar, LiDAR, infrared, and visual cams will keep the drone at a specific level until you decide to go higher. So you can still ride it at street level. For the big one, it's more proprietary to my business, so I can't really show it, but you will see it when it's being manufactured, as I manufacture it. Realistically, at this point, I'm waiting for the CNC, and then once I get the shop set up, because a friend of mine's building a shop right now. He's got the steel, he's got the land, everything's set up for it. But we're at the beginning stages of getting the shop completed, so I have an area large enough to build the bigger version of the quad. Yeah, some of the technology that I'm developing is going to be something I don't plan on releasing until after I complete the mother. Let's just put it that way. The quad is more of a it'll be flown remotely initially. I'm going to get as much carbon fiber and lightweight aircraft grade aluminum into it as possible. It'll be like riding a motorcycle with 4 turbines, in a sense, or a mud quad, but much more stable. And it'll be all electric. So that's the goal. And with the ability to program navigation routes combined with obstacle avoidance sensors, if somebody actually rides it, it won't be until it has its own drogue chutes. Your backpack would have a chute, a low-level deployment chute, in case of emergencies, so on and so forth. It will be programmed, because it's a quad, to run as a tricopter in the event that you lose an engine, so it will automatically switch to a tricopter mode, which will give you an opportunity to land safely, even if one engine goes down. So that's the beauty of the system that I'm trying to design right now. Not running any patents at the moment, because basically everything is, well, it's secure, and it's not, well, nobody knows about it. So it's not in the public sector. It's not off of any patent that exists or any design that exists currently. But yeah. Oh, of course. Of course it will have work. A lot of the reason why I'm doing this is for VTOL capabilities. So this isn't something where you have to get going first and then take off. This is you're on it, you're up, and you're going. That's it. So it will be fun. And I can tell you that the engines will run like a drone does, as far as alternating the RPMs for stability according to the gyro. But a lot of the movement, how do I explain this? Drones tilt forward to move forward. The engines will keep you, on this one, will keep you level because the engines can gimbal. So it'll act and move, yaw, roll, and pitch just like a drone. You can lean it like a motorcycle, and it'll recognize that, and it will tilt the engines outward and keep the other engines towed out or cambered out to get you around that corner based on your movements, just like a motorcycle. So you will have a pitch control that is controlled by one hand and the throttle control for the other. So pitching and gimbling, sort of like riding a motorcycle with the ability to pitch and gimbal with your left hand. And braking is the same way. So backwards, engines are going to gimbal out forward. Obstacle avoidance sensors and forward-facing LiDAR will actually help you when you're in a situation where you're in traffic, let's say. You will automatically be able to avoid any obstacles that you don't see, whether it be like a pole or something like that. It will recognize that, and not only the helmet's going to be designed like a motorcycle helmet, but the HUD inside is going to give you a visual marker and distance of objects, so you can avoid them yourself as you're driving, and it won't interfere with the view out of the helmet. It's just more of a slightly transparent overlay. It gives you the data that you need to make corrections, and if you don't make those corrections, the system will make those corrections for you to ensure safety. Oh, this one here? Yeah, this is that the one you're asking about, Adam? Yeah, this is for that, but this is the smaller version. The bigger version sitting over there. And I'll show you the size difference. We ain't messing around with this one. Oh yeah. So there we are. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one to test out. I'll tell you that. My phone has decided to try and betray me. Looks funny me trying to adjust it on camera. Yeah, that's the idea. And if you keep, subscribe. Make sure you keep up to date on the different playlists, and you'll see the progression of everything that's going on until the big motor is duplicated 3 times, and then I make the drone out of that. And I may make it resemble the quad at that scale, just so that, because if you put like a person on it, like a 3D print something that fits on something that size, and you're flying that around, people are going to think somebody's in the air flying a quad, even at the RC scale. But it'll be like a weighted model to kind of give realism, so we're going to put the whole quad, accoutrement on it, so that it has a seat, it has the control system, but flying it remotely, obviously, so it's not an actual person. So basically a person at 1/3 scale. So Thank you, Adam. You will see it. Appreciate you stopping by. So, all my rolls disappear. They must have got bored. Where are my trolls at? They must have booked it. Website's gonna follow the brand colors. Cool. Hey, just make sure you shoot me a new URL if I need one for a discount code for these guys, because you know when they want to go get your coffee, they want to get that discount. But guys, it's 7:30. It's probably time for me to eat since I haven't eaten anything since breakfast. Wait, maybe I had lunch. I think I had lunch. I don't know. When I start designing or talking about designing something, working on something, or just chatting with you fine people, and I forget to eat. So I'm sure dinner's ready. But what we'll do is leave it at this. We're going to fix the dill drone. We're going to be flying that with some bigger motors. We're going to finish this bad boy up and do a spin up. If you check out some of the shorts I did put out earlier, I did do some low, like literally barely up on the throttle like that, just to engage an idle, and then go a little bit faster to make sure everything was spinning correctly. And you can see that it was really doing really well at a very low RPM and pulling like literally 1.5 amps max. So we're going to see what happens once we get it up there, because there is going to be a lot of fan resistance. So I imagine the amps are going to go up. But it's mesmerizing to watch on that short, because it makes you feel like the whole thing's twisting because of the black and white blades. So other than that, those are the projects. This one will be done soon. The turbo fan will be done soon. Or turbo jet, I should say, if you consider turbo fan, high pass, turbo jet. And we are going to get things rolling, and you guys are going to see some really cool stuff coming up. So I do, hey, shout out, shout out to Ron. Yeah, I'll do a shout out. Welcome, Ron. But we are getting ready to end the stream, so I do appreciate everyone that stopped by. If you like what you've seen so far, if you like the conversation when we're not talking about drones, just, that's cool. We do these chats every now and then, and it's good to get to know everybody. So make sure you're subbed. Make sure you hit that bell. Hopefully you'll get notified next time that there's a live, because that seems to be slow going on the notifications. And my hand's a little shaky because I need more coffee. So other than that, you guys have a wonderful Sunday evening. I hope you had a great weekend, and I hope to see you all on my channel in the future. You all have a wonderful evening. From everyone here at DPC, good evening and good night.